All right, so we're going to pick up right with lesson 9. And we'll go through the calculator window again in a second for those of you that kind of need that. So when we talk about your sine and your cosine functions, these are what we call sinusoidal functions. That's very hard to say. So these are what we call sinusoidal functions. They are periodic in nature, so they're going to resemble a pattern and just keep repeating forever. And we're going to add one number to the mix here. So yesterday we talked about the A value in the front. What did the A value in the front stand for? Amplitude, good. So A is equal to your amplitude. We discussed that amplitude can never be negative. So we always do the absolute value of that. You're always going to make it positive. Okay. And the new value that you're going to look at today is the C value. And this can be called a couple different things. So this pertains to a vertical shift up and down. So plus is going to go up, minus is going to go down. And it's also commonly referred to as a midline value. So it's a vertical shift, and it's also referred to as a midline. So vertical shift, meaning this is going to go up and down. And it's going to be located right at the back of your equation. Okay? So your first example here is you're going to look at the function sine of x plus 3. So first of all, what's going to be the amplitude of this one? What's the number in the front? Just 1. And then you're going to have this 3 right here. So we're going to say that this is a vertical shift up 3 units. So vertical shift, and I'm going to go up 3 units. So you're welcome to either do this in the calculator or by hand. I think I will go through calculator first, just in case. So you're going to check the windows on these. So I'm going to go to the calculator. And if you borrowed a calculator from the back of the room, I just want to make you aware that my other classes during the day are in degrees and you guys are now in radians. So you are going to have to check that every single time and make sure that you're correct. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to hit mode to make sure I'm in radians, which I am. I'm going to go to my window. And your window needs to be -2 pi to 2 pi still. The scale is going to be pi divided by 2. And then your min and max, you can either leave it like you had it for homework if you moved it from -6 to 6, or you can make it go -4 to 4 like your paper. And then you don't have to change anything else yet. So we're going to go to the y equals, and we're going to type in the sine of x and plus 3. So sine of x plus 3, and then you are going to hit graph. And it should look like you just took the function that's on your paper and shifted it up 3 units. Okay, did everyone get that okay? Perfect. So it looks just like that. I'm gonna go back here, and all I'm gonna do is just bump my points up 3. So this one here is in 0, so I go 1, 2, 3. Next point, 1, 2, 3. Next point, 1, 2, 3. Next point. And next point. Again, I like to kind of do this just so I can draw it a little bit neater. Now I'm going to create a symmetric image on the right-hand side of my graph as well. And back down. And up again. All right, so here is my equation. I'm going to color coordinate it so I don't have to label it. And it asks you, how would the graph be produced? So what did we do here? We went up 3 units. I'm going to keep it short and simple. All right, so we sketched it. We're good to go here. What I am going to have you add to this, even though it doesn't ask for it, is a value that's called your midline. So the midline occurs at 3. So you can take another color if you have it with you. And right at 3, I'm going to make a dashed line that indicates a midline and divides your graph symmetrically. Bless you. That is again called a midline. In our case, that occurs at y equal to 3. All right, now I'm going to do my next one, which is back to a cosine curve instead. No different. So on my next one here, I want to consider the function 2 cos x plus 1. Okay. So first, what is the amplitude of this going to be? 2. Good. And then again, this is going to go up 1 unit, which is also referred to as a midline. So it says to sketch this and give the equation of the horizontal line that this falls and rises to. So that is your midline value. So this goes right in the calculator again, because you don't have a graph to translate based on. So I'm going to go to the calculator and I'm going to type in and go 2 cos x plus 1. So 2 cos of x, close the parenthesis, please, and then plus 1. And then you're going to hit graph. Everyone get that? And again, remember that your calculator exactly models your paper. So you're going to look at these values. So I am at 1, 2, 3, my highest value. Lowest value is at -1. Do this side first. So -2 pi 3, halfway in between at 0, halfway in between that and at -1, and then back to 3. If you wanted to, you could probably get away with just doing that point, and that one right there. I'm going to do that. And then just connect these nice and straight. Okay, so we were at 3. And then halfway, I was at -1. And then I was back up at 3. We're going to do one of these. Get about halfway through that marking right there. Same thing. And back up. Okay. You do the same thing over here. So here's time. And here's 3. All right, we're going to just swing it on through. Get about halfway right there. Same deal, about halfway. And we're good. Put a color coordinate again so I don't have to label. So now it says to give the equation of the horizontal line. So the horizontal line is referred to as your midline. So I'm going to take another color. And my horizontal line is going to be right here, the 1. I'm going to go right through this. And there is my midline value. Okay. And when you place a midline value, it makes it very easy to decipher the amplitude. So if I look right in the center of this, right here, this distance from, excuse me, the top to my midline, this is your amplitude. And that is equal in this case to just 2 units. Okay. That makes it nice to do that. So I need to state here that my equation is y equals 1. And then my range of values is my y's. And my lowest y was at -1 and highest was at 3. So I am going to state that I went from -1 all the way up to 3. Okay. Questions on any of that so far? You guys agree it's not much harder? Yeah, you're just still using the calculator and you're just experimenting with different parts. All right, so next. Talked about that already, so we're done. Now we want to sketch the rest of these. Sketch and label, so you got 2 on 1 graph again. We're gonna go 4 sine x minus 2, and then a cosine graph as well. Okay, let's look at the calculator too and see if we need to change our window at all. So this graph currently goes up to what? 6, right? Okay, so we do need to change the calculator because mine is currently set to only go up to 4, if I'm not mistaken. And then the next one, this goes down to must be -6. Okay, so we're going to slightly change our window just so that everything fits here. So I'm going to go back to the window and change it from 6 to -6. So window, I'm not going to change any of the x's, but the y min I got to change to 6, -6, and +6. Do you need me to read them off again? Okay, so the x min needs to say -2 pi. The x max is going to be 2 pi. The x scale is pi divided by 2. Are you good? Okay. So now go to y equals. And you're going to type in your function, which was 2 sine x minus 2. You're going to go 2 sine x and then close it. I'm sorry, I don't know why I did that. Okay, sorry about that. And then minus 2. Minus 2. And now you're going to hit graph. Okay, so it's going to fit, but barely. You did not get that? Okay, so is your y equals okay right there? Make sure you end the parenthesis after the x. I'm sure you're not the only one to make that mistake. Everyone good now? Okay. So this is a little bit harder to graph. What you want to try to do is eyeball this and break it into 4 pieces. So this value is -2 pi. What am I at? -2. So I'm going to graph -2. And then at -3 pi over 2, I'm up at +2. And then right here at -pi, I'm at -2. At -pi over 2, I'm at -6. And then at 0, I'm back at -2. Okay, so the numbers you need to remember are -2, 2, and -6. Let's see what we got here. So I'm going to go -2. And then it was +2. And then it was -2. And then -6. And then -2. Okay, that's half of it. Again, I'm going to connect. And then you're just going to create an identical image on the other side as well. Okay, so there's that side. I'm going to go up to 2. And then -2. And then -6. And 2. Okay, so here is my labeling. I'm going to state that my amplitude is equal to 4. And I am going to state that I had a vertical shift down 2 units. So vertical shift down 2. And again, that is also called a midline value. Now I'm going to take another color pencil and I'm going to sketch my midline in. And my midline is right at y equals -2. It's that back number. I'm going to go right here at -2. And this value, when you draw it, it should look like it splits your graph right in half symmetrically. Okay. And again, this section right here, this is your amplitude. So that's the 4 units that we're have labeled on the other side. All right, switch colors. Next graph. I have -2 cos x plus 3. Okay, so what's that negative mean is going to happen with this one? Reflected, excellent. So the negative pertains to the reflection over the x-axis. I'm going to label everything first. The 2 is the amplitude. And the midline value is 3. So this time we're going to do a vertical shift up 3 units. Bless you. 3 units. So now I'm going to clear out what was in my calculator currently. I think it's really hard to look at more of these at a time than just one. And you're going to type that in. All right, so I am going to instead place in here and go -2 cos of x plus 3. Again, make sure you close with that parenthesis. And then you're going to hit graph. And again, remember, it is set up identically to your paper, identically. So this value right here is at 1. This one's up at 5, and it's halfway in your left side. So I'm going to remember basically 1, 5, 1. So 1, 5, 1. So I'm going to go 1. I gotta use this part of my graph now. So 1. Halfway in the middle is at 5 and 1. Okay. And then other side is up at 5 and 1. You're going to see you have some points of intersection this time. Okay, so here is that. We need to state the range of this function. So the lowest value that it hits is 1, and the highest is 5. I need to do that on the top one too. Sorry, I didn't see that there. So your range for the top graph is -6 to -2. -6 to -2 is what this one goes between. And again, that is the range, so that's your y value. Okay. All right, so next, no graphing, you're just going to decipher some of this terminology. So you need to find the range of each of the following functions and expression answer in interval notation. So I'm going to have you add amplitude as well, because again, all these things are good practice. So letter A, my amplitude is, yep, 7, good. My midline is going to be 4, which means I go up 4. The midline is equal to 4. So instead of typing this in the calculator, you can find the range in an alternative way. If you don't want to use the calculator, all you're going to do to find a range is you're going to compute a minimum and a maximum value. So we are going to do midline minus amplitude. And we're going to do midline plus amplitude. And again, this is an alternative if you don't want to type it in the calculator. Sometimes it's just faster. So I am going to do midline minus amplitude, means I hit down at -3. And then I'm going to do midline plus amplitude, means I go to 11. Therefore, my range is in between these. So my range is from -3 to 11. Next, remember that amplitude is not negative. So the amplitude of this one is 5, not -5. Bless you. Midline is 2. All right, so I am going to do 2 minus 5, and that's -3. And then I'm going to do 2 plus 5, and then it's 7. So again, this is the minimum, this is the maximum. So I'm between -3 and 7. And then lastly here, I have an amplitude equal to 25. And a midline value of 35. So I'm going to do max and min again. So I'm going to go 35 minus 25, which is 10. And I'm going to go 35 plus 25, which means that my maximum value occurs at 60. So this is between 10 and 60. Guys, see how those work without a picture? Okay, nice and quick. So next, it says the graph below shows a sinusoidal curve of the form y is equal to a sine of x plus c. Determine the values of a and c. A stands for amplitude. So to get your amplitude here, I am going to sketch my midline, and I'm really going to just count. So my midline is my halfway mark If you eyeball it, it's right here. Okay. I went halfway. So if we look at our values here, we went halfway between 6 and 22. So how many units are there between 6 and 22? I would do 22 minus 6, which is equal to 16. So I have 16 in between here. And then I'm going to take this and divide it by 2, which means my amplitude should be 8. So I take this, add 8 to it, and that's 14. Does that work? Yep, 6 plus 8 is 14. 14 plus 8 is 22. So this right here is your amplitude if you want to find it visually. So from 14 up to 22, so that's going to be 8. And then your midline equation right here, that's going to be y equals 14. So C is equal to your midline, which just occurred at y equals 14. Okay, so this is a little formula that you could use for amplitude if you'd like to. If you want a formula for midline, if that's how you work, then you're going to do 22 plus 6 divided by 2. And that also gets me the 14. Okay. So either way, so formula or picture. Okay, so questions on any of those pertaining to shifting your graphs up and down? Good, I want to give you time to work, especially those of you that don't have calculators. So you've got a front and a back to do, feel free to use that. If your calculator is not working properly, please let me know so I can come and help you, just because it makes these problems a lot easier. So again, homework, you've got problem set 9 to do. There is a front and there is a back. It will ask you for points of intersection. I think I just saw that. Yep, so you're just gonna label where those cross, or you could just circle them or place X's on them as well.